There's a hidden cost to how most people over 60 begin their mornings. And it's not just about energy or productivity. It's about your muscles. What if I told you that the way you wake up, move, or don't move, eat, hydrate, and even think in the first 90 minutes of your day could be accelerating sarcopenia? That's the scientific term for age muscle loss. And it doesn't just affect your biceps or how much you can lift. It's directly tied to your longevity, your immune system, your blood sugar regulation, and even your brain health. In fact, one study published in the Journal of Gerontology found that lower muscle mass in older adults strongly correlates with increased risk of insulin resistance, depression, and cognitive decline. What's happening in your muscles is often a mirror for what's happening in your entire body, especially as you age. Yet here's the kicker. Most people aren't losing muscle because of age alone. They're losing it because of subtle, repeated mistakes they make, especially in the morning, without even realizing it. From skipping protein at breakfast, to missing the critical movement window that activates muscle-preserving genes, to unknowingly triggering inflammation or cortisol spikes that break muscle down faster than your body can rebuild it. But the good news is this: these mistakes are fixable. And more importantly, your body is still highly responsive to change, even after 60. Research shows that with the right habits, muscle tissue can not only be preserved, it can grow even in your 70, 80 and beyond. In this episode, we'll unpack the 5 most common morning mistakes that silently sabotage muscle health in older adults. And more importantly, I'll show you the science-backed tools you can start using tomorrow morning to flip the script. We'll explore how morning hydration alters muscle metabolism, how the timing of your first movement sets off a cascade of cellular repair, and how certain breakfast habits either build your strength or chip away at it. This is not about chasing youth. It's about preserving power, protecting resilience, and reclaiming agency over your physical future one morning at a time. Let's begin with a habit that's surprisingly common and increasingly popular: skipping breakfast. For many, it's unintentional. You wake up, get moving, have a bit of coffee, and hours go by before your first real meal. But after 60, this delay can quietly undermine one of your most valuable assets, your skeletal muscle. Here's what the research shows. Muscle protein synthesis, the process your body uses to repair and build muscle, is most responsive when your system has been fasted overnight and is then fed the right amino acids. But if that window is missed, your body shifts from an anabolic building state into a catabolic one, where it starts breaking muscle down for energy. In a 2016 study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, older adults who consume 25-30 grams of high-quality protein within 1-2 hours of waking maintained significantly more lean muscle mass over 12 weeks compared to those who delayed intake. This aligns with a principle known as the muscle full effect, a period when your muscles are primed to absorb and utilize amino acids efficiently. Miss that and the benefit drops off sharply. Have you ever felt more fatigued or mentally foggy by mid-morning after skipping food? That's not just blood sugar. It may be your muscles signaling that they're under stress. Especially in older adults, the body becomes more resistant to anabolic stimuli, meaning it needs more precise timing and more consistent protein dosing to maintain muscle. And here's something few people realize. Muscle isn't just for strength or vanity. It's a metabolic organ. It helps regulate blood sugar, supports immune health, and serves as a reservoir of amino acids your brain and organs rely on during stress. So what can you do? A simple tool to apply is this. Within 60 minutes of waking, aim for 30-40 grams of high-quality protein, ideally with leucine-rich sources. Think eggs and Greek yogurt, a protein smoothie with whey or pea isolate, or even lentils and quinoa if you're plant-based. Include some resistance, even a light stretch or band exercise before or after breakfast to amplify the muscle sensing effect. The combination of movement and amino acids is a potent signal to your body: preserve muscle, rebuild, stay strong. This isn't about rejecting fasting entirely. It's about adapting the science to your phase of life. Over 60, the cost of delayed protein intake is simply higher, and the payoff for correcting it, substantial. Let's talk about what you do or don't do with your body in the first hour after waking. For many people over 60, mornings are slow and sedentary. You ease into the day with some reading, maybe a long breakfast, or simply sitting quietly. That may feel restful, but metabolically, it could be the exact opposite of what your muscles need. What's happening in your body during that early window is profound. After a night of sleep, your circadian biology is primed for movement. Levels of hormones like cortisol and adrenaline naturally rise to promote alertness and readiness. This is your body saying, let's move. And when you do, even just 10-20 minutes of low-intensity movement, you unlock powerful, muscle-preserving, and energy-regulating effects. Here's what the research shows. Light movement in the morning activates PGC1A, a master regulator gene that promotes mitochondrial biogenesis, muscle repair, and fat metabolism. In simpler terms, a short walk, light stretching, or body weight resistance first thing in the morning sends a strong signal to your muscles to stay active, functional, and strong. In one 2021 study from the Journal of Cachexia, Sarcopenia, and Muscle, researchers found that older adults who performed light morning movement, even before breakfast, had improved insulin sensitivity, increased satellite cell activity, crucial for muscle regeneration, and reduced inflammatory markers. Compare that to a completely sedentary start, where muscle tissue goes unstimulated and catabolic processes like protein breakdown accelerate. The muscles receive no input, so they begin adapting to less demand, and over time, they shrink. But here's the good news. You don't need a gym, you just need movement. A simple tool to apply is this. Within 30-45 minutes of waking, engage in 5-15 minutes of low-impact movement. A brisk walk around the block, a short yoga sequence, even standing calf raises or wall push-ups indoors. The goal isn't to exhaust, it's to activate. This also enhances muscle protein sensitivity later in the day, meaning when you eat lunch or do a workout, your body will respond more efficiently. If this insight is helping you, consider subscribing. There's more where this came from. My goal is to make sure your brain and body work for you, not against you, at any age. Let's shift to something that seems simple: water. Most people don't think of hydration as having anything to do with muscle health, but the connection is real, and for older adults, it's especially critical. Here's what's happening in your body overnight. While you sleep, your body continues to lose water through respiration, perspiration, and urine production. By the time you wake up, you're in a state of mild dehydration, even if you don't feel thirsty. And if you delay hydration by hours, your blood becomes more viscous, circulation slows, and muscle recovery, especially after physical activity the day before, is compromised. A 2019 study published in Nutrients showed that even 1-2% dehydration significantly reduces muscle endurance, impairs balance, and increases the risk of falls in older adults. Another study in the Journal of Applied Physiology found that dehydration impairs muscle protein synthesis, meaning your body becomes less effective at repairing muscle tissue after activity or injury. Think of your muscles like a sponge. When hydrated, they're elastic, responsive, and efficient. When dry, they become stiff, less coordinated, and more prone to damage. It's also worth noting that electrolyte imbalances, like low sodium or potassium, are more likely in older adults due to medications or hormonal shifts. And these imbalances can impair muscle contractions. And here's a key point. If your morning coffee or tea is your first fluid, it may be doing more harm than good. While coffee isn't necessarily dehydrating in moderate amounts, it doesn't count as hydration on its own, especially without electrolytes or water alongside it. So what can you do? A simple tool to apply is this. Within 15-30 minutes of waking, drink 12-16 ounces, about 350 to 500 mils, of water, ideally with a pinch of sea salt or an electrolyte mix. magnesium, sodium, potassium. This helps restore plasma volume, supports cellular hydration, and kickstarts digestion and circulation. Bonus tip, drink your water before your coffee. This improves absorption and reduces the risk of dehydration fatigue later in the day. Hydration isn't just about quenching thirst. It's a fundamental trigger for muscle efficiency, metabolic clarity, and energy regulation, especially as you age. Start your morning strong from the inside out. Now let's examine a common breakfast mistake that feels comforting but can quietly sabotage muscle preservation. Starting your day with a meal that's high in sugar, low in protein, or both. Think toast and jam, breakfast cereals, fruit juice, or even just a banana and coffee. These are convenient and often marketed as light or healthy, but what they're doing biochemically is the opposite of what your muscles need, especially after 60. Here's what the research shows. A carbohydrate-heavy, protein-light breakfast spikes your blood glucose, causing a sharp rise in insulin, followed by a crash. This crash increases hunger, irritability, and fatigue, but more importantly, it raises cortisol, your body's primary stress hormone. And cortisol, when elevated consistently, is catabolic. It breaks down muscle tissue. A study published in Diabetes Care in 2020 found that older adults who consumed high-carb, low-protein breakfasts had elevated post-meal inflammation markers and reduced muscle protein synthesis compared to those who ate a more balanced meal. When this pattern happens daily, the metabolic cost adds up. Over time, it creates a cycle. You eat a quick breakfast, your blood sugar crashes, you feel tired, you move less, muscle breakdown outpaces repair. Here's the thing. Your breakfast sets the tone for the entire hormonal and metabolic rhythm of the day. If it starts off unstable, your body becomes more prone to storing fat, losing lean tissue, and feeling mentally foggy. So what can you do? A simple tool to apply is this. Anchor your breakfast around protein first, not carbohydrates. Shoot for at least 25-30 grams of protein and pair it with healthy fats and slow digesting carbs like oats, berries, or whole grains. Try something like scrambled eggs with spinach and avocado, Greek yogurt with chia seeds and berries, a protein smoothie with whey, flax, and frozen blueberries. Avoid ultra-processed cereals, white bread, and fruit juices in the morning. These lead to sharp glucose swings and poor satiety, meaning you'll feel hungry again quickly while your muscles are left undernourished. If this insight is making sense to you, consider subscribing. This channel exists to bring you science that serves your body and your goals. And if you're already subscribed, hit the like button. It helps spread this message to others who need it. Breakfast is not just a ritual. It's a biological decision point. And your muscles are listening. Muscle loss after 60 isn't just about what you eat or how you move. It's also deeply tied to how you think. And more specifically, how you start your day mentally and emotionally. Let me explain. Every morning, your body naturally releases a surge of cortisol. This is part of the normal circadian rhythm. It helps you wake up, become alert, and mobilize energy. But here's the catch. If your morning stress levels are high, if your mind is racing with anxiety, if you're doom scrolling social media, watching negative news, or anticipating conflict, your cortisol spikes higher and longer than necessary. And chronic cortisol elevation, it's one of the most destructive forces to muscle tissue over time. A 2014 review in Frontiers in Neuroendocrinology found that sustained cortisol elevation contributes to muscle protein breakdown, impairs regeneration, and even reduces the production of growth hormone, which is already declining naturally with age. Worse, cortisol also inhibits insulin sensitivity, meaning your body becomes less effective at using nutrients to repair muscle. You could eat the perfect breakfast and still lose ground if your nervous system is in a fight or flight state. You might be wondering, how can I control that? Life is stressful. And that's true. But the first 20-30 minutes of your day are a golden opportunity. How you engage your mind in that window can dramatically shape your stress physiology for the rest of the day. A simple tool to apply is this. Begin your morning with 2 5 minutes of deliberate down regulation. This could be slow nasal breathing, in for 4 seconds, out for 6-8 seconds, light stretching with attention to your breath, a brief gratitude journaling session, write 3 things you're thankful for, even stepping outside and looking at the horizon, a natural visual anchoring technique that regulates the autonomic nervous system. These small practices reduce sympathetic nervous system activation and help you shift toward parasympathetic dominance, the rest and digest mode where repair, regeneration, and muscle maintenance happen. And remember, emotional stress is physical stress. Your muscle cells don't know if the cortisol is coming from a real danger or from reading stressful headlines on your phone before you even get out of bed. Build your strength from the inside out, and that includes the inner dialogue you allow each morning. There's one final and often overlooked morning mistake that silently undermines muscle health, energy, and overall resilience after 60, missing natural light exposure and neglecting vitamin D. Let's start with light. Your body runs on a circadian rhythm, a 24-hour biological clock that governs everything from hormone production to metabolism to cellular repair. And the most powerful way to synchronize that rhythm is through morning light, particularly sunlight. What's happening in your brain when you get early light exposure is remarkable. When sunlight hits the retina, it signals the suprachiasmatic nucleus in your hypothalamus, your body's central clock, to initiate a cascade of hormonal signals, lowering melatonin, increasing cortisol appropriately, and ramping up dopamine and testosterone. And that last one is key. Testosterone, even in women, is essential for preserving lean muscle mass, bone density, and motivation to move. Morning sunlight helps regulate the natural rise in this hormone, which in turn enhances muscle protein synthesis and recovery. A 2020 study in Nature Reviews Endocrinology noted that older adults with more consistent morning light exposure had better muscle function, higher testosterone levels, and even improved sleep quality, which itself is critical for recovery and growth. Now let's talk about vitamin D, technically a hormone and a critical player in muscle preservation. Vitamin D receptors are present in muscle tissue, and low levels are associated with muscle weakness, fatigue, and increased fall risk in older adults. Research in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism found that older individuals with sufficient vitamin D levels above 30 g/ml had significantly better muscle strength and performance than those who were deficient. But here's the issue. Many older adults spend mornings indoors, often behind windows, which block the UVB rays necessary for vitamin D production. And even in sunny regions, synthesis declines with age. A simple tool to apply is this. Within 30-60 minutes of waking, spend 5-10 minutes outside, ideally with natural sunlight on your eyes and skin. No sunglasses, but do not stare at the sun directly. If you live in a region with low sun exposure or are over 65, consider a vitamin D3 supplement, ideally paired with vitamin K2 for better absorption and bone support. Pair this morning light habit with light stretching or walking, and you've just activated your hormonal, muscular, and neurological systems in less than 10 minutes for free. This isn't just about muscles. It's about signaling your biology. I'm awake, I'm active, I'm building. Let's take a moment to step back and connect the dots. You've now seen how 5 common and seemingly harmless morning habits can over time silently accelerate muscle loss after 60. And you've also seen that the fix isn't extreme. It's intentional, grounded in science, and well within your reach. Let's quickly recap the key insights and tools. Skipping protein at breakfast. You learned that your muscles need amino acids early in the day, not hours later. Aiming for 30 grams of high-quality protein within 60 minutes of waking activates repair and preservation pathways. Delaying movement. You discovered that light movement in the first hour helps activate muscle-building genes, stabilize glucose, and prevent breakdown, even with just a short walk or stretch. Even upon waking, we uncovered how even mild dehydration slows recovery and increases muscle fatigue. A glass of water with electrolytes first thing in the morning restores performance and metabolic clarity. High sugar, low protein breakfasts. You now know that spiking your blood sugar without protein can increase inflammation and cortisol, both enemies of muscle strength. Instead, you can anchor your breakfast around protein and slow digesting carbs. Morning stress and cortisol spikes. We explored how chronic stress elevates catabolic hormones and that a few minutes of breath work or gratitude journaling can lower cortisol and switch on recovery mode physiology. Ignoring light and vitamin D, you saw how sunlight and vitamin D regulate key hormones like testosterone and growth factors that protect muscle, mood, and energy. A few minutes of morning sun or proper supplementation makes a big difference. Now, here's why this all matters. Muscle is more than movement. It's your metabolic engine, your structural support, and your reservoir of vitality. After 60, preserving it means preserving independence, confidence, and quality of life. But muscle is not just preserved in the gym, it's protected or lost in the first hour of your day. That's where the fight is won or lost. Not because of age, but because of habits. So here's my challenge to you. Pick just one of these tools and start tomorrow. Maybe it's a high-protein breakfast.